like to hear, like if an elevator broke down and you and I were stuck in it for 3 minutes and you only had a couple minutes to explain the Rhode Island thing to me in the most simplest of terms, how would you do that?
All right. There's an enormous amount of fact behind everything I say, but it's not going into the 3 minutes. Basically, Rhode Island unions drive all Rhode Island labor law bills.
Okay.
They write them elsewhere. They give them to the legislators, and the legislators do what they're told, which is submit them, defend them, and then pass them.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean they write them elsewhere?
The unions do the writing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
In other words, Representative Steve Johnson doesn't write them. He gets one from somebody in the union that he knows well, and they say, here's your bill, submit it. So they're just functionaries of the union who are also paid to be legislators. So there's a huge conflict of interest, but we're not talking conflict of interest at the moment. So the unions tried 3 different bills this year, and they won 2 of them, and they're horrible. The one that didn't pass was inserting the ABC test in all Rhode Island state labor laws. So we all know what that would have led to.
Would it have been the ABC test or this new 6-prong one?
No, it would have been the ABC test. The chatter in the legislature was, we want it just like Massachusetts has it. And that was the California one, and that was the PRO Act one. So, okay, so that failed, and I am in the act this week of finding out why it failed, but we can guess between us.
Yeah.
The second thing is that they voted on and passed, and the governor signed what we'll call a felony misclassification bill. Now, these 2 bills are just terrifying, but they're terrifying to different audiences.
Right. I saw the one that said, what, 1,500 to 5,000 with imprisonment potential.
Yep. And 3 years. Now, one tip, they had 6 different things they did. I'll only go into one. The unit of crime is the buyer's standard payroll period. So if you were to do a marketing, contract for marketing work as a buyer, in other words, you're a little company and you want some market research on whatever, the period in which you commit a felony could commit a felony is the pay period. And every time your payroll clicks over, you enter a new penalty period. So if you did a 3-month project, which for marketing and software and a lot of other things, even physical therapy, that's a new felony. So you just think about everything we say. That could be, in a 3-month period, that could be 7 felonies, at 3 years each and 5,000 each. So this terrifies, absolutely intimidates clients. And
it should terrify the employers. Yes,
right? Because, it's going to get worse for everybody. So that's the second bill. That's now state law. And this thing came in the night. There's a reason for this when I'm done with my 3-minute speech. Anyway, so that intimidates the clients. Never buy. Can you imagine some woman who's got a marketing firm, and if she's accused of this, she could have she could have 30 felonies if she's got a couple of staffers on her. She's got kids at home. She's working part-time. She's employing part-time people. She's just felonies all over the place. Every advisor will say, don't do it. Don't do it. And she's basically out of business. All right. The third horror, also, this is in law, is this attempt to intimidate independent contractors and drivers and moms and the disabled. Again, you have to file a form per year per client. and you have to identify yourself in great detail, even though all the data the state needs to identify you and your clients, they already have through the 1099 NEC, not elsewhere classified,
right,
and 1099 miscellaneous. It's a completely redundant effort. It also asks for your age, which they don't need to know. And they don't need to know your name and address on a publicly, public information form. It's just not right.
I was going to say, I thought there was a law against this, that you can't have people, because of intimidation, you can't have people's information out there.
Well, the state of Rhode Island apparently hasn't read that law, although that's my recollection very clearly too. So we'll get to this. There's so much other badness. Anyway, those are the three horrors. And two of them are in law, and they're perfectly capable now of driving everyone out of independent contracting, buying or selling in Rhode Island.
Yeah, see, I can't remember again who it was, but it was a gig worker, and somebody was saying, because they brought it up to me, which I thought was interesting, because I had already read your piece, I had already looked at a couple other things, and I was like, whoa. And then they brought it up to me, and they're like, yeah, but that would never affect me because I'm the worker. I'm like, but if the employer is afraid to give you work, there's no work.
Right. That's the whole thing with the way the Fair Labor Standards Act set this up in 1938, is they keep you out of court by preventing the buyer. The buyer's not going to go to court to get his, to be able to buy services from you. That won't happen. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is, I think this is I think it's a major drafting mistake. I think they forgot, Steve, that the original purpose of the writing the Fair Labor Standards Act the way they did was to keep the independent contractor out of court, because they make very sympathetic witnesses in court. They're women, they're people with a profession that people admire, like doctors or scientists. They are trying to just get ahead and pay their bills and do all the things that everybody in the jury wants to do too. And so the unions did not want them in court, and they have their people in the plaintiff's attorney telling, don't let these people into court. They're going to win every time. But this time they made a mistake by a specific requirement of that fill out these forms and get intimidated and violate your own privacy. So I think they're going to have litigation about this, and I think they're going to wind up either having the bill taken back or they'll lose in court, or something will happen, or they'll pull it because the damage is coming and they don't want to lose a court case and get a precedent.
Well, Mike, let me ask you this. I'm sure you saw in the news about the I can't remember how every newspaper words it because they've got their spin, but it's like Uber drivers win in California because they're now allowed to take Uber to court. I'm sure. Oh. Have you seen this? It's everywhere.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, it's one of the things of Prop 22 was that you still had to you were giving up your right to protest, that you couldn't I don't know, it was one of the littler things that now they're taking back and saying now you can take these companies to court. So in your opinion, from what you just said, wouldn't that be I can't read. It's like clickbait. I can't read the title of an article and even know what it means anymore. But how do you? I know you haven't seen it yet, but how would you reflect on that? Do you think that's a win? Because to me, I was thinking, what Uber driver has $5,000 to $10,000 to cough up on an attorney just to lose?
Yes, I don't see the connection between that example in California and this particular one of revealing the privacy of individuals.
No. I just got a little sidetracked when you said. I was just curious because it was all over the news last week. I thought you would have seen it. it was a big loss. I mean, it was a big loss to the Flex Association, which is Uber, Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash. Right. And they're the one, Flex Association's what fights in Massachusetts and every state now. They are the Flex Association. So I didn't understand how, I guess I don't understand. I know we're a little sidetracked here, but how that even would be a win though. Like they made it sound like, hey drivers, you just won huge. And there's people cheering about it. And I'm going, what is the win? I don't get what the win is.
That sounds like chin music. I don't see it. People who drive for Uber and are real, really like it. They have negotiation disputes, but when you have a little guy and a big guy, that's routine.
Right.
And suing the guy you work for is not necessarily the road to amicable relations downstream.
Right, because the agreement in every state and what you click when you agree to drive for Uber is that you'll go through arbitration or whatever. It takes away your right to sue.
Right. That is that arbitration bill is not a bad thing.
Okay.
Arbitration is much cheaper as a general rule, and it's much less manipulatable. Not in all cases, but generally, most parties who get into a dispute get into it for reasons that they didn't intend on causing them. It was just
and I already see look, I know people who have been wrongfully deactivated, but I know people who have been deactivated that I would have deactivated. Right. And all I think that's going to come of this kind of thing is, although none of them have the money to do it, but I believe all that would come of it is people challenging wrongful deactivation when they got deactivated because they yelled at a customer for a tip.
Right. I had an Uber driver in D.C. and man, these guys know more about their business than the typical dentist does. I'll tell you. And he said he makes a lot of money with Uber, and he likes driving. He likes the people, typical stuff everybody says. He doesn't like when they change the terms of the contract without talking to him. Anybody would.
No.
If you had a contract with a snowplow guy or a lawnmower guy or a painter, and all of a sudden he says, I'm changing the contract and I'm not going to come until January to paint your house. Well, that's not going to work here, pal.
Yeah.
And, but when you're Uber and you're $50 billion of valuation, it's much more now, but you've got money in your pocket, it might makes right in court and other things. So that's one of those things where I'm not quite sure why Uber's doing it this way, but I'm not being critical. I'm just saying I got questions that I don't have answers for, just like this one.
Yeah, no, when we're off the call, I'll send you one of the articles that I was reading. Just maybe you could even text me back just your take on it. Why? Why would anybody, why would this help anybody? But I know they've been fighting for it for a while, and now they got it. And I saw on some socials them cheering about it, and I'm like, okay, but now what? I'm waiting for anybody to post, this is great, now I can do this. It to me, it means nothing. It did nothing.
Yeah. And the salting is a big issue. So those may be salts who are just told to, get this passed. Now it's time to, hurrah and hooray and all that.
Yeah.
So this is all kabuki theater as far as the unions go.
I'll put us back on track now. So back to Rhode Island.
Okay. So I did finishing up my 3 minutes, I did a little research online this morning.
Okay.
Thinking of this. And because these bills, plural, proceeded through the House and the Senate in Rhode Island with just zero info. It was like a black box. Nothing came out of it. And we looked at the biggest 100 employers in Rhode Island. And if you do this, anybody can do it. You're going to get a list of the total employment of each of those companies. So CBS is at the top of the list. Rhode Island is a very small state with a very small economy, with very few large employers and very few large industries.
So that was a question I was going to, is that, I mean, I know I felt like it was a stupid question, but is that why Rhode Island? Are they doing it because, okay, this has the least amount of people? Let's try it here.
Yes. And it's the one they control the most, I think. Like
Okay.
even Massachusetts has my understanding is that Massachusetts, it hasn't gotten worse here because Massachusetts actually depends on the independent contracting income that the state earns from giant independent contracting using businesses like defense, medical research, universities, pharmaceuticals. Those are big businesses, and they need expertise all the time. So the Massachusetts takes very good care of its industry, and Rhode Island, not so much. Anyway, long story short, we went through, we took the normal participation rate in independent contracting for the national level, which is 63 million people and 150 out of 158 million workers, or 40%. And we applied it to Rhode Island's workforce of 569,000 people. And it turns out that self-employment is bigger than all the independent contracting. Let me get this right. Then all the it's 40% as big as the total corporate employment of all the big 100 firms. And when you start going down the list, you realize, most of these people are operating outside the state, and their numbers don't show up. They're much smaller than this stupid list that I can't use for this purpose. So basically, when it comes right down to it, whatever number you use for the percentage rate independent contracting in Rhode Island, it's the biggest employer in the state. And Rhode Island just torpedoed it.
Okay.
And I don't think they know that yet. I don't think that fact has come to anybody's mind. I don't think the unions would want to catch that fish. I don't think the legislators can survive having done that. What are they going to do with 150,000 people out of work in Rhode Island? I mean, they're either going to move, Steve, or they're going to, worst for the state is they're going to just ignore the law, go catch me. And you can't, they have a diehard anti-business individual who runs the Department of Revenue. He's going to try to get somebody's, and get their goose, and there's just going to be hell to pay. And not only that, national freelancers, if they tackled this as a team, tackled Rhode Island and made a case out of the different people who published the bill and passed the bill and, pushed back on them from their national, protected nationally position.
Sure.
Rhode Island couldn't withstand it. There isn't any other place to work in Rhode Island. So then you've lost either the individual moves out or they just go to Connecticut or Massachusetts for work. How successful was that? So this is
how smart is that too? Because aren't Connecticut and Massachusetts also on the chopping block?
Well,
you're just temporarily moving across the border to wait to move again.
Well, yes, Connecticut has its problems, and so does Massachusetts. But if you got two kids,
sure,
and you either want to work part-time to help out your hubby or something like that, or the two of you are independent contracting, which we see a lot, what do? You have to buy the kids food this week. You can't wait it out.
Maybe I'll make up a conspiracy theory that they're trying to push everybody out of Rhode Island because they're going to turn the whole state into an Amazon.
Well, yeah, it does make you want to bring out the wit in all. like, what are they trying to do? And you can't answer the question. I mean, you can't say, oh, there's a perfectly good reason to drive 190,000 people out of work out of 500,000. Like, what's the reason? Why is that a good thing?
Yeah, and why? I was reading that article. Why did it refer to it earlier in the article as half the amount and then quoted you at the 190? Because I was sure, I'm sure Mike's things are correct here, but I thought I could have swore it said something about 85,000 or something.
Yes. Well, I don't know where they got their number, and I haven't.
But it's in the
them.
same article. It was ridiculous.
Yes,
I'm like, you can't.
Well, is that the Fox article?
I guess I don't know.
She did a pretty good job. I must say, she treated us well and treated the issue.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I was able to read it and I got something out of it, so that's always a win.
Right. So, and even at 85,000, Paul, that's more than 10 times the size of CVS's employment in Rhode Island.
Yeah, it's just funny that it's half of what you say.
Right, and I say in my current analysis, almost no matter what factor you use, independent contracting is bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if they put a number out, if you put a number out, I would actually say if anything, both of you are wrong. It might be a little higher.
Yep, I agree. It has no big industry down there, so anyway. But the public has yet to weigh in on this. And as you know, we're both in the business of getting the public involved. So I wait with interest to see what will happen. Yeah,
but in that, you've been through this so many times, this kind of thing. Like, in your opinion, the size of Rhode Island, the demographic of the people who live there and stuff, because they picked Rhode Island being such a small state, because there has such a union dominance in it, do you think that this will get by the voters there where it wouldn't in a lot of states? Do you think that this will actually go and create these problems that we know it will?
Yes. The union's first line of resistance is to do nothing and to poo-poo it. That's what they do in California. That's what they did in Massachusetts. And you have to call them on that with fact and stories, just like, Kim and especially Karen, they got the stories out there. So they crushed it. Yeah. The next thing they'll do is they'll try to compromise with what they think the deepest pockets are, like lawyers and, maybe doctors. They'll figure them out, and their friends in the plaintiff's attorney business will help them, and they'll try we'll exempt nurses, that sort of thing. Well, okay.
That's just AB5 though.
Right.
I mean, that's just doing AB5 again, which failed miserably.
Right, but this is the same people. They didn't learn anything from AB5 except to keep doing it.
But see, okay, that's where I get lost. I don't care if I have no political experience at all. I've never voted. I don't, even just the most common person who's never voted, I could go present this to, honestly, not leaning the way I think or whatever, just right down the middle, and they'd be, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're why are they doing it? They're doing it because they are hired peeps in the union movement, and they're hired to pass the PRO Act. And I think top management of the unions has said to the Democrats, who does the passing of all this, look, we paid you plenty. We gave you a president, we gave you a Congress of both houses, and we gave you oodles of money and busted votes to get you into office. And we have nothing to show for it. The environmental movement has got, they got what they wanted. The LGBTQ plus and all that, they got what they wanted. But the unions, we haven't got our PRO Act. So Get your butts off here, or we're going to primary all of you suckers, and you're not a one of you is going to survive, because that's what we do best, is primary people and get them out of office. And so that's what's they've been given their marching orders. It's the same thing as warning it when you're an employee. We're gonna give you a warning. Next time it's goodbye.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess I better come to work sober.
Yeah.
What? So,
but see, to me, like, I mean, like, I'm sorry, I've ran businesses. If you come to work drunk, I'm not giving you a warning. You're fired. Like,
happened to me with a guy. His father was a big client.
In fact, I don't know if you saw, but Sergio sent me something yesterday that blew my mind. And I thought he was kidding me at first. In Business Insider, it's all over right now, that they're trying to let 14-year-olds now serve bartend.
Oh my goodness, that's not going to work out.
I mean, no, there's articles everywhere today about it. Everywhere.
Wow. What law is that?
I don't know. Wisconsin is like, I got to look today. Wisconsin might have already done it. And they're not talking about being a server and carrying a drink. Now, you know me, I've been in 25 years in the service industry, bar, restaurant. So I proposed in a couple tweets today, I was like, okay, well, what are you going to do when a 35-year-old, 200-pound man has one too many? What are you going to do when a bar brawl breaks out? What are you going to do when there's a gun in your face to give you the till?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I thought we had child labor laws for a reason.
Well, maybe this is a workaround. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, 14. I mean, dude, like here in Colorado, you can't serve alcohol till you're 21. Some like Wisconsin right now is 18. But you can't serve alcohol. You can't touch alcohol here in Colorado till you're 21.
Yeah.
Not even like from the bar, a bottle of beer, carrying it to a table. If you're a waiter that's 19, you have to have a bartender or somebody come out from behind the bar and take the alcohol over. But now we're going to have 14-year-olds bartend. I mean, like, literally, I can tell you I've been punched. I have used people's faces to open the slam bar because they've taken punches at women. I mean, I have seen things that are so out of control. I can't even imagine. Where do you dummies get off thinking a 14-year-old could do this?
Well, you gotta. I definitely don't have an answer for that. I'm a half a beer a week guy. I split them with my wife, but
me too. But when you're bartending, you're trying to keep an eye on everybody, but you never really know how many other bars they've been to. You can gauge them pretty good, but every once in a while, one falls through.
I completely agree. I have no idea. That's not headed in the same direction as the. More permissiveness is not where the labor unions are going with independent contracting. They're trying to exterminate it in the next 18 months. And this is their next best move. They also made two moves in California. I don't know if we've talked about those. This is part of the post-PRO Act effort is to try lots of little different crushes like this. The first one was they passed a bill that eliminates the state of California will not use independent contractors for court translation at all anymore. They are going to use state employees. So all the people, 3/4 of all the court translating is done by independent contractors in California in all 58 state courts. There's one for each county. There are 58 counties. So, and in order to gin up enough supply of translators, the state's going to give unions money, contract money, to find, recruit, and train trainees in translation for the courts. And California has 200 languages spoken at home.
Right.
So it's just insanity. The other one, so that just eliminated. I don't even know what the numbers are, but I know the 0.75% stuck in my mind. But it's big. I mean, you looked at California counties lately, you realize, oh, they're just not going to sub in from the Oregon border down to the Mexico border, 900 miles.
Right.
The second thing was the Los Angeles City Council ended what's called the as-needed haul trucks that carry road grindings away and bring asphalt to paving, repaving projects.
Okay.
And there are 93 guys that do it. It's a 130-year-old bill. I swear it's the oldest thing going in California, because what else is older? What's older than 130, years in California?
So that's just, wait, that means that, is this just an industry? Is this one of those industries that's like literally just independent contractors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They haven't said how they're going to do them, but they're not renewing these guys' contracts. These are guys with $100,000 trucks and huge payments. So,
well, I'm sure they'll lie and say that they're going to create twice as many jobs, and then like AB5 and like Karen Anderson says, they'll create donut holes.
Right. Exactly. So those are the first two moves, and these three moves in Rhode Island are the next one. They're picking up on niches, and they just, because they want victories, and they want to then string the victories together and to use them. So they want to go up and down the scale for size of district, like Los Angeles City Council up to the state of California.
But it's not a victory.
Well, it is for them.
It's not, though.
Well, I know it's not, but we're not them, and they're not us.
I know, and I know that, I know we all fall into like what we believe and stuff. I mean, literally, again, I'd go to the random person thing. Like, let's pick 5 random people and explain this. Like, every person would be like, that's the dumbest thing ever.
Yes, it is.
It's like, I don't care what level of how bright you are, how street smart you are, how far you took schooling. I could let the other side pick the panel. Put them in my backyard. Give me 20 people. All 20 of them will say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard within 15 minutes.
Agree completely. I agree. But we're not talking about what's in the common interest, which is what most people understand.
Yeah.
We're talking about what's in the union boss's interest. Most of the union guys and gals, they have side hustles.
Yeah.
They freelance. They don't like this. It increases their dependency on the union. They don't want that. They're trying to get out of it. You can read the headlines. Anyway.
And then the Julie Sue thing, too. I mean, I just saw Kim's post about that, and I've seen other things, but I see that, I mean, we'd heard clues of it, but whatever she posted today showed that Biden literally openly is saying, well, she's just going to remain there.
Yes.
Like, even though I don't know if it's a law or what, you might know, Mike, but like...
It's a conflict between the Vacancies Act, which is federal law, and a special law that should be evaporated immediately that says, well, unlike all the other departments, the cabinet departments, the Secretary of Labor will remain until he or she is replaced. Which is basically, it allows that one cabinet office to be occupied forever by an acting, if it's analyzed in isolation. That's what it allows. But of course, you've got conflicting legislation, which is what the Supreme Court is there to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
So the Virginia Fox, the head of the Ed and Workforce Committee, has taken this up with the Government Accountability Office. One of them, I think it's the GAO, and asked for an opinion on which statute. And of course, they don't want the job because they're all liberals, and the last thing they want to do is to help out the conservative cause here and get rid of that gal. But,
but at the same time, even the people I think who are kind of like, fine, I'll vote for her, I think they've all been given a free lunch or something. If they do, it's like nobody's stoked on her.
No, she's terrible. Everybody knows that. That's why Manchin's taking the heat for Sinema. she's running as an independent. He's not sure what he's going to do. He may run on an independent ticket as a Democrat. He's from a brightly red state. So they've both got the people who are not saying yes at the margin are in very complicated situations. And God bless them, they're not going to do it.
I just, it's so crazy to me that like everybody just is going about their day. I know we all are so busy, but just going about their day and not realizing that we have like complete morons running things.
Yes, the public understands that. All the poll numbers, basically, yes, everyone understands it.
Well, a majority, but it's shocking to me that there's still 30, 40, 42 odd some percent that are like, no, we're in a good direction. Really?
Yeah.
That's what you really think. You think we're in a good direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's baffling to me. I feel like like I said to you, I'm going to be sending you a couple things when we're done. Like I just pulled up the article Sergio sent me, and the title of it is "A Growing Number of U.S. States Are Working to Loosen Child Labor Laws, So Your Next Bartender Could Be a 14-year-old."
This will only go in a bad direction.
Clearly. I can tell you that from 25 years as a bartender and manager.
Right.
We don't look for fights in the bar. Well, we do, but we're not looking to make them. We're looking to diffuse them.
Yes.
A kid cannot do that.
Exactly right.
So, exactly. I mean, I'm just looking at these moronic things, and I'm like, and then this, when you put out that Rhode Island, hopefully people really looked at it and listened, because at least the Fox article added the word horror.
Yes.
And, I know that's a strong word, and to some people that it might appear clickbaity, but it actually wasn't. If that drew you to read that article, good, because it is a horror.
It is a horror. They're doing a horrible thing. They're trying to scare moms out of the workforce, and scare people out of driving and away from Uber and Lyft and DoorDash. And they're trying to just terrify the buyers, which is all startups, all small companies, and even a lot of big ones that really need the talent.
So I guess like I most states I know where they fall. I'm guessing Rhode Island is heavily blue.
Oh yes.
Like major blue.
Absurdly blue.
Okay. Like more blue. Like I know that they don't have that much per capita. They don't have a lot of people, but I mean, like if you just did percentage wise, are they like the highest state?
Well, if you look at the legislature, I think there are only 2 House members.
Okay.
That's what I haven't done. I'm doing my first analysis that I'm doing is on the economics of this, and just the insanity of attacking a third of your own workforce.
Yeah.
And just putting them out of business. I mean, they haven't even thought about it. Who's gonna meet your bond payments? If people are going stale on their real estate taxes, your towns won't have any money. And this is not going to be that like they're cutting back. They're going to have nothing. I've been through this.
Yeah, I feel like, I know you've been through it more than me, but I feel like I've been through this, and I feel like I know that mudslinging's been going on for a long time, but I feel like aside from mudslinging, like mudslinging just used to be a season, just the last 2 months rolling up to the election. Right. Now all it is mudslinging. I feel like if you're going to have a stupid idea, you better come with 5 hard points on how you're going to fix wrecking everything.
Well, they'll just spin it. I mean, look at Biden spinning it. He's operating. Everything he's doing is against the law. I wrote a 33-page paper on this, and no one pays attention. They're going, "Oh, he shouldn't be doing this. Must be a mistake." No, they've been planning this for 9 years.
Yeah.
They know all the moves.
Yeah. I mean, anyway. And I think that I went and looked, and I was doing some dive last week on this, that I think the 2022 numbers that I saw were the lowest union membership ever.
Oh, yes, I think that's, yes, since the big, right. I agree.
I mean, like, I know that there was like I was looking through time, and I know that it started off big, and then in the '80s it kind of picked it in the late '70s it was dying off, and then in the early mid '80s or in the mid '80s it picked back up a bit again, got some steam, and then it kind of leveled. But now I feel like, from what I saw from the numbers, it just seems like union membership is at its all-time lowest.
Yes. And they're finding with this Starbucks workers union, they're finding that those were all paid salts, and they lied about it, and they lied to Congress about it. And that is going to hurt them.
Mike, I'm telling you, if you ever push a bill that talks about this, I will give my time to you for free. 100% of my time for as long as it takes. If you push anything that could make these guys be hooked up to lie detectors whenever they speak.
Well, I've got be my own boss. Believe it or not, has a provision that if you read it carefully, as a lawyer would, it says that if you go to an employer and try to get a job, try to get work as an independent contractor, having signed the elected independent contractor status.
Yeah, you and I talked about this. You made a good point that you said that, right. I remember this, that you said that hey, I am of good mind and I understand what I'm doing.
Right, and the fact that if you try to come back to the employer, it could be a $50,000 fine for that one offense. That'll end salting. That'll end salting. They just won't for assaulting of the independent contractor workforce, which gives us a black eye, because then those people go, look what he's doing. He's misclassifying. Well, you inveigled him into it. That's you set him up. That's a crime by itself.
Yeah, it's like these California workers. Now that they say that, the articles say court rules against Uber and major win for California workers. But then I was looking, I'm like, okay, so now they can sue. I forgot about this part. On top of that, they also have the PAGA to deal with, though, too.
And they have the what?
The PAGA, private attorney general. So basically, you can sue any employer for employment law and actually have the backing of the state, except for none of their money and none of their lawyers. You got to go do it on your own. And if you win, you get to keep 25%. The state gets 75% of your earnings.
For writing a law that hurts the right.
So if I, the worker, say, you know what, I think I'm misclassified and I want to bring a suit on, and I think I have a true one. Let's say it's not one of the fake ones, a true one. And I really want to take this to court because it's really impacted me financially. At best, I'm going to win 25%, which will leave me a couple thousand after I pay my lawyer off. And the other 75% is going to the state. And they'll be like, thanks for the win.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, okay, now at the same time you're introducing this win for Uber drivers, they can't afford to do this, but if they do win, they're not even going to be able to recoup their lawyer fee.
Well, have you heard about what the economics are for wind generators?
No.
I mean, no. Oh, I heard this. It was from a British woman woman with a British accent talking about it. The U.S. government will pay your wind turbine guy will give them $900,000 to put up a wind generator. They're called windmills. But
really, I know what they are, dude. We have farms of them out here.
Yes, I know. They're horrid.
And yeah, they kill birds, but not only that. I mean, they take more battery power than they bring in.
They pay the farmer whose land they are leasing. They pay him $12,000 to put the thing in, but the farmer has to guarantee that's $12,000 a year, basically land rent. The farmer has to pay for any repairs or replacement if there's and they burn up. So it's a sucker's deal, and the companies will say anything to get their $900,000 minus a couple of $12,000 payments, and the farmer's completely on the hook. It's like a student loan scam all over again. Not only that, in order to start one of these, if it's been stopped, they need coal-fired electricity to start the blades moving. And once it gets moving, because you have to have always on electricity, when the turbine comes up to speed, the wind turbine comes up to speed and is now generating and pushing the electricity back, the steam plant that made the electricity in the first place and has been making it on a standby basis, they just have to dump their steam because they have they can't turn, the grid will only take what it's being offered. So
I can't tell you, more times than not I pass by those and they're not even running.
I know it. Oh, same in Oregon. We have a daughter out there, a daughter and a son-in-law. We go out there and you can fly over. We rented a plane one time and a touring plane, and flew up to Spokane and back. Those things are just sitting there on a quiet day. They're doing nothing. That's dead capital.
Yeah.
So,
and then and I don't know if you're familiar, but I-80 where it comes through right about, like, Cheyenne's an hour north of Denver, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Yep. And then between Cheyenne and Laramie, just after you pass Laramie heading west, you'll see one of the biggest wind turbine farms you've ever seen in the United States.
And that's beautiful land, Steve, and they're just
destroying it. And here's the thing, though. When I went up there last, it was about 4 or 5 months ago, I was up in Laramie, and I saw we had some high winds, but we have high winds all the time. And they weren't 100-mile-an-hour, which we've seen here in Denver even, where little Cessna planes and stuff get flipped over. It's like, they're big winds. But up there, it was like 80 miles an hour a couple days before I was up there. Like 9 of them were tipped over.
Yep.
80-mile-an-hour winds tipped over a wind turbine that wasn't even turned on?
Yes. No, I know. It's a horrifying thing. And not only that, they're cutting back our steam capacity. So eventually, we just won't have any power. We'll be off the grid, all of us. And, no gas. No, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So many rabbit holes.
This has been very helpful for me. I've enjoyed it. When will you know if I should be standing by at all for that on Saturday the 5th, or do you're just thinking about it?
No, if you're cool, I think you should be standing by for it.
Okay.
I'll tell you now. I would like to have you be a part of it.
Okay.
And we're gonna so this weekend or this Saturday, a couple people are getting in because it's the Saturday after. So this coming Saturday, I got a couple people coming in to set up the event, and there's going to be some other people here. We're going to be going through some things. But we think we have it down, and as long as we have it, I would say by Monday I know it's 12 p.m., so it's going to be 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday, August 5th, your time.
All right.
And at some point during that, we're going to be kind of like piecing together, like, because I obviously want it to be a town hall flow too, where people can talk, but I want to have little integrations like you, where we switch a topic maybe.
Right.
And I want to address the independent contractors or the traditional ICs as well as the gig economy or the app-based gig economy.
And as you said, I agree with what you said. They're merging.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're merging without the app-based. See, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, Mike, but I'm starting to feel like they're merging I almost start to feel like the app-based gig economy doesn't want to be classified as some hybrid. And there was all this fighting going on. Now I'm starting to feel like the unions are like, no, let it all be classified as one. We'll take them all down.
Yes.
Because it's easy for us to go after the app-based ones because those companies have been non-transparent. They've been breaking independent contractor rules. They're doing everything wrong. And so I feel like that's going to be their way of just hit, like, it's AB5 all over. Like I told Karen at one point, and she was like, I don't know if that was the case, but it would make sense. I told her that I believed that AB5, because I had talked to Vina Dubal before. I mean, like, just before AB5 was made law, not before it went into law, but before it was made law in like October of 2019. That's when I interviewed Vina, and honestly, like, I mean, I feel like it's just gonna be like that all over. Like, there's just it's to take out everybody. It's not. And I told her it should have just been based on the app. I feel like they were like, let's get the app-based gig economy. And then some dummy said, you know what? Let's just go after everybody that isn't a W-2.
Steve, that was Trumpka.
Okay.
Trumpka, he did that. That was his big thing for the unions. He knew he was dying. He was dying. He had heart failure. And you know what's coming in heart failure, because it's basically your pumping mechanism can't keep up with the workload. And my mom died of it, and so been there, done that.
Sorry to hear.
Well, it's been a while, but I miss her anyway. So as his swan song, basically, he was really into no anger management. He just went, his eyes would bug out, and he'd go crazy, and he scared the shit out of everybody in the labor unions and everybody in government, because he was so loud and had so much power. So when they couldn't pass it after he died, they tried 3 times and they haven't gotten it through, and they're not going to try anymore. So we're in the post-Trumpka era now, and so what the weenies in the union movement has done is say, let's throw that model out and let's pass it piecemeal and put some points on the board, because we're still losing members. That's what you've been saying. So they hatched this strategy. They worked with this is all speculation, but try to defeat it, you can't. They worked with the plaintiffs' attorneys, who said the threat of going to jail terrifies independent contractors, because we've seen it with all the people that we sue. And the threat of being public terrifies the independent contractors. They don't want their name public. So we're going to do those 2 in Rhode Island, because we can get them through with no controversy. There's no media down there to speak of. There's the Boston Globe, but they're completely in the tank for Democrats. So we're just going to blow this by during vacation month of late June, and they did that. And we'll get them into law. They weren't able to get the ABC test, but they got the other 2, the intimidation bills. And that's their plan. And then they go after the LA City Council, and they're taking notes. They're taking notes how this goes. So far, Rhode Island's been great. So you expect a lot more state effort at this kind of intimidation tactic goes into law. So, but you've got it nailed, as to who did it. You sensed it. You sensed that moment, like, they're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, and I also saw in your article that, I mean, I know that you said, I think you said, warning to all blue states, but I saw you mention New Jersey, Colorado, where I am. So yeah. You mentioned, I think it was 6 specifically. Why those 6? Because isn't there a lot more?
There's 16, but they're not definites. Like, they'll try it in Wisconsin and Michigan, but Michigan, they're doing other things in Michigan right now.
Oh, I'm born and raised Michigander. I know that we don't. And if you make a bad law, we have a different way of dealing with things than most states.
Oh, good. What's that?
I'm just saying. I just know. And then the media always spins it, but we're not. It's a whole state of people that don't give up.
Yeah. Well, I'm an Ohioan by birth, and we always know that Michigan has our Northwest quadrant. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. We hate each other for football, but we respect each other on a major level.
Right, but that's only 2 stadiums. So unless one of us goes to the Rose Bowl, or maybe both. But anyway, I understand. But the ones that come to mind are the ones that have already tipped their toe in, which is Massachusetts, New York, and New York has a stiff law, which is really hard to meet, and California. Those are the obvious ones. And Minnesota is trying to go, be as totally blue as it can, and Wisconsin mostly, and Illinois. I mean, New Jersey, totally for sale, and and now they say, well, why don't you try it small? Because this is small is what they're trying. So let's do it in Rhode Island. Only 1 million people. No one will notice, and who'll care? They won't. They assessed our strength as the phenomenal pressure that we and the franchisees put on Congress and the media. We were just nonstop, and we cleaned their clock, and they hate it. They just so what's the first outfit that they hit? Well, they hit the translators, and then they hit contract truckers. Like just watching you guys, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
And then they boogie over to Rhode Island and they go, and we're going to intimidate the buyers and the sellers. And they put it in like it's in. There's no, now we just have to start suing. Crazy.
Right. Which, I mean, again, I keep mentioning, it's funny you said that because I keep mentioning the fact of, man, if everybody could see the total bill on what, and I'm just talking about app-based gig economy, on what the states and the Flex Association is spending in just legal matters.
Yep.
You would, I mean, we would, all of us would have a kumbaya moment and go, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care if I have to give a little. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a big fight. If we can help the unions lose this one, their goose is going to be cooked because the Biden administration is going to run out someday.
Exactly.
Maybe he'll live to be 130 and he'll do 2 more terms. Like if there's any man standing.
I might, clearly anybody can be wrong. If somebody could be right on this, they would have that person locked up at Area 51 and only giving them information. But I just don't see any path where Biden wins.
Yeah.
I understand that a lot of people are like, you're crazy, dude. And again, I don't say that often because then I get accused, oh, you're a Trump supporter. Like, don't classify me because I'm trying to explain something to you.
Right.
And don't think you know me. You don't know me. I'm just telling you this is evil and awful.
Yep, I agree. I'm with you.
It's I can't. It's like they literally have made Trump the reason we can't even speak.
Yes.
And I hate to say this because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's a lot of flaws in Trump, no doubt. There was, a lot of people can't see through some of it to see that some good legislation came out.
Yeah, Trump did almost everything that the average American would want a president to do.
Right, because he wasn't a political person.
Right, he's a businessman, and when you make a deal with a client in business, you stick to it, and the client knows you're doing it right, and they stick to you, and it's that simple. And of course, the left never worked for a commercial boss, so they don't know any of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not again, I don't think Trump is a humanitarian, and I do not think in any way that Biden is a leader. In no way. In fact, I think Biden needs to be in a rest home and relaxing.
And I think I had heard there's a woman tweeted a great tweet. She thinks that all the Hunter problem is because he was abused by his father when he was little. He showered with it. Biden showered with his daughter. I mean, there's just so much evil going on in that family.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. We're sticking to business. You're going to let me know. You're going to send me the article on the Uber drivers taking Uber to court, and I'm going to stand by and try to be diplomatic and dressed and ready to go if necessary. It'll be by video, right?
Yeah, so it would be just, almost exactly like how I watched your video, like how you've done StreamYard with me before with the New Jobs America behind you.
Right.
You know, that green screen or that effect, put that behind you, and just like that. And then I'll just let you have, 3 to 4 minutes to kind of give an overview of what the Rhode Island situation is. And then and maybe like how that, could forest fire into other things, and people should pick up on that, obviously, but I'll let you just kind of handle how it'll be. And I'll come up with a little more of a, like, hey, Mike, so yeah, just talk about this. And this is where, and I'm hoping that I'll have a point where I can say, this is where you'll fit in. We'll be talking about this. When I need to pivot to the next subject, this is where I'm going to insert you.
Okay.
And that might help you kind of too, to go, okay, I see.
Right. All right. So you'll raise your pinky finger, and I'll interpret that as a sign that I might be in the next one or two. Got it.
Well, no, but I mean, like, I'm going to have I think it's 7 topics I have right now. I'm going to have 7, and we might change them a little bit. One might be added, who knows? But right now it's 7. That means I need to have, because there's an introduction piece that we're doing, and then there needs to be 6 transitions between each.
Okay.
So I'm gonna this weekend, once we lock those down and what order they'll be in, then I'm gonna look at it and go, oh, I think Mike could be great between these two.
Okay.
Because I think
okay.
maybe it'll be somehow a transition of moving from, hey, this isn't just app-based gig economy, guys. This also hits the traditional independent contractor, and there's proof of this right now in Rhode Island. But instead of me telling you about it, let's bring Mike on.
Oh, perfect. That's I could right. I can.
I mean, is that something that you feel like you could knock out?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I know you could. So
I've got the notes right here. I'm essentially I'm ready.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was just saying. Like, I meant, like, are you cool with doing it? Are you willing to? Would you be willing to do that? Thank you.
I'm good extemporaneously.
Okay.
Or at least I feel I am.
Yeah, no, and I feel like it'll be super easy and flowing for you, because, I mean, that's what I really want. I just want everything to feel genuine. And I want, again, nobody can be fighting, no argue. We can talk, but no drama, no yelling, no.
Right.
Like, I don't care if you're a 42-year-old senator here in Colorado and you have the mic and you're screaming. I'm going to come take the mic from you, give you a pacifier, stick it in your mouth, take the mic from you.
That will be circulated widely online.
Well, I mean, no, dude, Tony and I thought it would be funny. So I ordered 10 pacifiers from Amazon. And at the beginning, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say, listen, everybody has a right to talk. But if you get out of line, we have a right to put a pacifier in your mouth.
Right.
Because only babies yell.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll keep some of the riffraff out with that.
Well, I mean, we've got 2 senators invited. We've got a union member invited. We've got a union fighter of that union member invited here in Colorado. So, like, these 2 are actually friends, but they hate each other on the battleground.
Right.
But they actually, like, and I've seen this only a couple times. I've seen other people like this who can do this, but they have the worst back and forth, but they also have a beer together.
Yep.
And to me, that's the best way to do things. Yeah, we have different opinions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're going to be perfect for this, and I'm glad. I'm honored to have you be a part of it.
Well, thank you, and I'm, as usual, honored to be a part of it myself. So I'll try to be rested and shaved, and ready to go.
Cool. Yeah, and I mean, like, of course, I don't even need. It goes without saying that clearly you can on the live stream you can stick around and watch it all too. I would think you might want to. It's gonna be worth watching.
Should be.
I mean, it's 2 hours, and at that point, I'm calling it, because I mean, we have representative House members that are going to be there who wrote legislation that got shot down by. So if you're not familiar, I think I told you about this once before too. There's Colorado Senate Bill 23-098. And if you look that up, you're going to see that it's a new House member that wrote it, and it got sponsored by a senator. Now, she's very new. She's never been in politics, and she's part of the LGBTQ community down in Colorado Springs, and she's on the left. But even in her 6 months in office, she's already starting to see a balance. Like, wait a minute, maybe I was a little wrong on this. Or maybe this, like, I've interviewed her 3 times, and she has grown tremendously in her ability to take things in.
Good for her. That's
so
terrific.
I mean, but here was the thing, is that she, obviously being far on the left, she's a Democrat, and one of her own, or 2 of her own party shot down the bill before it got to the floor for a read. So most of the Republicans didn't even get to hear it. Because you know how it is. Most of them, we all want to think, why don't you know about this? But dude, there's so many things on their plate. They have staffers and things who are like, here's what you got today. And it's just like a constant, like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and it's almost like reading bullet points instead. Like, what is this? Okay. How am I supposed to vote? How do my people want me to vote on this? Like, I mean,
I deal with 45 of these people, and they're just, yes, the staffers.
So regardless, though, this guy Priola, he's a senator. I don't know if he's a House member, and I don't know if you've heard of this guy in Colorado. He's here in Denver, in South Denver. He ran as a Republican in one of the only Republican Denver areas that's really Republican. He won, and within a week of being in there, I don't know if he like openly declared it or what, but he decided, never mind, I'm a Democrat.
Oh.
And I didn't even know you could do that.
Yes, you can change your party.
Yeah, but you should have to change it between elections.
Well, you don't want someone in your caucus meetings if they're going to be a member of the other party.
Yeah, no, I get that part. But I mean, at the same time, I feel like he Trojan horse his way in. I don't feel like he was a Republican.
Right, I agree.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm in a Republican district. I'll just run as a Republican and lie to all these people, and then I'll like take my helmet off. You know, and regardless, he ran as a Republican. He got in, and all the way up until this was going to hit the floor, he pledged his allegiance to this bill. Now, I don't think it's the best bill in the world, because I think it leaves a couple open doors for unions down the road. However, it's unlike anything else in the country regarding gig work, because we're not asking to put a dollar amount on. Every other state doing this is putting a dollar amount on. This much per mile, this much per minute, and that's what you're going to pay the gig workers. And I don't like those kind of bills, because I just know that's problems down the road.
If they can be helpful at first, they can be terrible later on.
But this bill actually, you know, because there's going to be bills in every state regarding gig work now, or app-based work. So because of that, this bill just was asking for 2 things. It was asking for complete transparency to the drivers and complete transparency to the customers, because that's something no other state has asked for. So a customer sees that DoorDash is taking 90% of the money. Kind of thing. And then the only other thing it asked for was that if you are wrongfully deactivated, and by this I mean you really not just hey, you've been deactivated for this, okay, you know, like you have to have a true reason. And there was like a 2-step process. Like the first one was like a review where it would be like an Uber representative and some other people, and they'd decide if that was one worthy of kicking up the ladder.
Yep.
And then the next phase would be, okay, go get a lawyer and take it on then. And so basically, like, because I think wrongful deactivation on these platforms is a tough battle anyway.
Yes, I agree.
I just think, like, man, you're asking too much. And I understand that AI is getting way too involved, but at the same time, there's nothing you can do about it. So, I mean, trying to, like, debate why you were deactivated could just lead to, like, the same thing you're talking about in Rhode Island, how addresses are being shared. Well, all of a sudden you'd know this guy's name is the guy who complained on you and got you deactivated.
Yes.
And to me, that could lead to a lot of violence or other things as such. You know, I can think of a lot of ways, but wrongful deactivation.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard as an individual to fight that. and it shouldn't be. The company should be open to someone saying, "Stop raising my hand. This hurts. Well, don't think you meant to do it. I've been trying to be following the law."
Well, I don't know if you saw. There was an interview with Tony Zhu. Tony is the CEO of DoorDash.
Yeah.
He did an interview with the Rideshare guy, and he did not say how many are active for how many hours, but he pointed out a scary statistic. There are 13 million DoorDashers in the United States.
That's a big state.
No, the United States.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
That's bigger than Massachusetts and Indiana combined. That's good news.
Right. But the problem is it's, I don't know if you're familiar with, but DoorDash their deactivation policy is completely AI now. They don't have any human involved.
Oh.
And to me, that gets a little scary, because when you put AI, what does AI do? It learns. As it's learning, it's teaching itself new ways. So it's like, I don't like this guy. He's gone. Right.
Yeah, the AI will be in there making its own. I didn't like him because he didn't like AI, so I fired him.
Right, and his we know iPhones listen to us. We've heard him say "screw the union," so I deactivated him.
Yep. All right. Well.
So that's a whole nother bubble. But I am really excited to have you be part of this. Thank you. Man, I really hope this event goes off good. I don't know if you know Sergio from the Rideshare guy. He's quite an intelligent guy. He's an Armidian. He's about 10 years older than me, and him and I just chat a lot. He's just very interesting. And he said, "Just so you know, Steve, this is amazing that you're doing this." And he's coming out, and he's like, "I'm so stoked to be part of it." He goes, "But you're gonna fail, and you're gonna win." I'm like, "Thanks, man." I'm like. He was just kind of saying, like, he's hoping that this event can turn into more of these events in other states. So he's like, you're creating the groundwork, so there's going to be some problems.
Is he the Sergio of Sergio on Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I watch his stuff.
Yeah, Sergio's a good guy. I mean, sometimes he's a little confused on things, just like language barrier stuff, but he's been here a long time too, but he is very smart.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it, Steve. I really am.
So, yeah, he'll be there with me doing this event. We got a lot of good people there, so, and you're going to be there. I mean, it's going to be quite the event. So, hopefully by next Sunday I'll have an email out to you that has more detail, and also like hopefully, I don't know if it'll be established yet, but a link that if you want to share it out to your community or whatever, that on Saturday they can watch this live stream.
Okay.
And if any of your community happens to be in Colorado or anywhere near and wants to make the drive, it's at the Wash Park Grill, one of our nicest, friendliest neighborhood, oldest restaurants. Great food. They can get free food and drinks if they want to come down and be part of it.
All right. Good enough.
You know, we've got the whole place rented for the day, so.
Most of my peeps are California. That's say the name of the establishment again.
It's called it's washparkgrill.com, and grill with an E.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm gonna send you these links. I'm also gonna send you that. I know it's a little out of the context, but I'm gonna send you that article on the 14-year-old bartenders. I really want to know what you think. If this is just like what this is, because this really has me pumping right now, and I'm trying to stay focused on what I need to for the next 2 weeks.
Well, your old unit is involved, and you gotta just look into it. I know the feeling exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I would just love to get your take. I'm sending you one article on it. I would just love your take on this. Like, is this like if your take is like wow, or if your take's like, oh, this will get washed away.
I hope lives don't get lost as a result. That's my problem. This is a hazardous occupation, just like tree trimming and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, underground mining.
Yeah, DoorDash is also, oddly, and Mike, this will probably make you, I'm going to end it with this, but I'm going to tell you, this is probably going to infuriate you. DoorDash is looking at the model of letting 14-year-olds to 18-year-olds use scooters to deliver food.
Oh, craziness.
Which I really don't understand. Like, when somebody told me that a month ago, when I first heard of that, I was like, no way. Then I saw this bartender thing. I don't know what is going on with us thinking 14-year-olds are to be doing all the jobs. But I really thought we had I thought one of the better things about this country was we had child labor laws.
Mixed feelings. But on scooters...
Oh, I mean, I'm all for a kid working. I had a paper route when I was that age.
I did too. I had one for 10 years and paid for my first year of college, cash.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying it's a different time now. We got DoorDashers who, as they drop the food off, people open the door, yank you in, and this, no joke, there was a DoorDasher in Florida 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago who was pulled into the house and was dismembered into 122 pieces.
Oh my God.
So we're going to let the kids put the food down now? And
No.
And wait a minute, excuse me, you don't think that pedophiles will be on this?
Right. They'll be the first customers. I'm going to get me a kid.
Yeah, or the traffickers, or I mean, I don't know. I know you have mixed feelings, but I have mixed feelings too. I just feel like we're in an age where, because I had the paperboy thing brought up to me, and I'm like, dude, you're talking to the wrong person. That's a job I did, so I'm gonna. Yeah. It was a different time. I rode my bike in the pitch dark in Michigan, and I delivered my papers.
We had what town in Michigan?
Lansing.
Okay. Well-behaved town. It's a different world right now.
That's what I'm getting at. I know you said mixed feelings, but really, like, I mean, these kind of jobs, like, first of all, we know how Amazon Flex works. Like, if you start falling behind, you end up working free time because they're like, we don't care, get your work done. And we're not paying you. With the Flex thing, they just pay for the block. If it takes you 3 hours instead of 4, you get paid for 4. If it takes you 8, you get paid for 4.
Yeah.
And so, like, but my point is there's I don't know if you remember, but there was a thing about pizza delivery. Like, remember the 20 minutes or it's free thing back in the day in the 80s or 90s?
Yes.
So I don't know if you remember, but they had to knock that down because there were so many accidents.
Yeah.
And so all I see are these kids on scooters who are going to be 14 who don't have developed minds going, I got to get this there, and getting in accidents and getting killed.
Yep, I agree. That's what I mean. I got mixed feelings.
So I'm all for kids being a hard worker. My son is busting his butt right now. He just got his cast off, and now he's back at work lifeguarding, and he's wanting every shift there is. So I feel like I've done my job. I feel like my kid has a good work ethic.
Good.
So
Steve, I have to run.
Absolutely, Mike. Thank you for your time. Sorry we ran over.
No problem. This is good, and I enjoyed every minute of it, and we'll see you on the 5th.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Talk soon.
Have a good afternoon.